Thank you, Stacy, and I'm super excited to present with my equally amazing friend Amanda Fakhreddin from Akamai Technologies. We're going to talk to you about humanizing your brand on social media. We've talked in the past, I have, to quite a few of you, I think, a lot of familiar faces about social media. I think I talked about social media for my first time at a NEDMA meeting way back in the dark ages in 2005 or so when I started my blog. That was kind of early, kind of sort of early by social media standards. I have written tons of direct mail over the years, been in this business too long than I care to admit, forever it seems. I've written tons of direct mail, tons of email, and now I write tons of tweets. And what I say about social media, it brings you, if you ask me, and I think anyone who does a lot of social media for a living, it brings you closer to the customer and your prospects than you ever might have thought possible. So when I was writing direct mail, it would usually be anonymously, and I'd be whoever was signing those letters, they wouldn't know it was from me, and we called it direct mail, but the critics called it junk mail, and I know it's still plenty of there's still plenty of it out there, and it works very well. I believe in integrated marketing, but I didn't feel like I was talking to either my customers or my clients' customers. Email, I think, brought me and brings us a step closer. I feel there is that occasional dialogue when you're a brand, and certainly when you're an individual. When you're using email, it's a little more instantaneous and a little bit more conversational. But again, social media, I feel, is the most, so far in my career, and that's 30 plus years in this business, the most, it brings me the closest, and it's the most engaging form of mass communication that I've seen. And anyone can do it. And that means one individual can be as successful, as powerful on social media as the big brand if you're willing to put in the work. Where you as an individual might have an advantage is you're naturally going to be human. You're naturally going to be yourself. What do you do when you're a big brand like Akamai Technologies or any other big brand? How do you humanize your brand and speak like a human, speak like a person, speak like an individual? And that's what Amanda and I are going to talk about in the next 50 minutes. So let's, you know now who I am and who Amanda is, so we can skip over that. And this would be our agenda. This is what we're going to talk about until 2:30. We're going to show you a quick 2-minute video to start things off, to set the stage. This is a video done by Eric Qualman. Eric Qualman, people call him the Dale Carnegie of digital marketing, or the Tony Robbins of tech. He is a guru in digital marketing and in social media, and he does these videos every year. So perhaps he's best known for these videos. And what they do is show the ubiquitousness. Have I said it right yet? The prevalence, the popularity, the dominance, the preponderance, I'm thinking of every other word but the one I was mispronouncing, of social media, the massive scale throughout the universe. We will play this video. It will show you all the different stats. I'm just going to come over here. It'd be, there you go. Just hit right here.
Yeah, this is done.
Social Media Revolution 2015. It's got some very cool music. It's only about 2 minutes long, and it will be a series of stats. That's the link. Amanda's just going to call it up. Really fun video, and then we'll get into how to stand out and humanize your brand on social media. That would be it. Thanks, Amanda. As soon as you can skip that.
Here's another way you can get it.
Here we go. That's scary. That's Eric Qualman right there. Thanks, Amanda. So the social media revolution. We are living through the social media revolution. The ubiquity, the prevalence, the popularity, the massive scale throughout the universe. Social media has allowed us to reach more of our customers and prospects, connect with our friends, and engage with these folks. And that's what's really, really cool. So social media, we all know what it is. It's the tools and the technologies we use to share information and ideas and opinions. But the part that, again, Amanda and I are going to emphasize today is with other human beings. So whether it's a company talking to another company or a person talking to another person, it's always someone, an actual person behind that brand's logo. So we want to emphasize, keep it real. Why social media marketing? In other words, why use social media for marketing purposes? Well, it's free to set up, quick to set up. Yes, there's a big cost involved in terms of the time you're putting into it, and you can buy some tools and all the technologies. There is an investment involved. Tweets are only 140 characters, so you're not obviously writing the great American novel. I see definitely a few of my fellow copywriters, three, all sitting together in the middle just by coincidence, who have probably written many long letters in the past and maybe still are. Tweets, 140 characters, what's not to like? It's under that 1 second attention span that human beings now have. You can share pictures and videos. You can have your customers and prospects follow you. It's built for engagement. That's the reason we call it social media. It's built for that engagement, that conversation. You can stalk the competition. In one of the presentations earlier today, they were talking about that, about following your competition and vice versa. And that's okay, that's cool. You can learn that way about each other. It's a great way to keep up with new trends, and you can drive traffic, leads, and sales, both organically, and there's a lot of paid advertising opportunities. And again, the point we want to emphasize, it humanizes your brand, puts a face on your brand. Before we go too far, we do want to emphasize the idea of having a plan in place. So this could be its own presentation. We won't belabor this point, but it's important to go in with your eyes wide open, because ideally, when you start to use social media, you don't want to sputter, you don't want to stop by any means. You want to keep it going on a regular basis, daily, frequently, over the weekends, at night, ideally, because you never know when customers, prospects, friends, etc. are looking for you and looking for activity from you. So ideally, there's a team involved. And ideally, like any other marketing plan, any other marketing campaign, any other marketing activities, you've decided what you want to achieve. Am I out here just to build a good brand, a bigger brand? Am I out here to drive leads? Am I out here to sell products and services, et cetera, et cetera? Why am I out here on social media? I need to learn about my audience. Again, this is basics. This is why I do like to equate social media to direct marketing. If you know direct marketing, which everyone in this room I'm sure does, that's why we're here at this conference. We're either experts in direct marketing or becoming even more knowledgeable than we already are in direct marketing. So you take the direct marketing principles and just apply it to different channels, except the big point is the humanizing part, okay? So you don't want to use all of your tried and true traditional direct marketing principles and try to force that square peg into the round hole. You want to add the human touch to all of those direct marketing principles. Little digression there. Research the influences. Study your competition. Develop your content. So I said you don't want to sputter. You don't want to stop. So you want to have an arsenal of content written in advance. Blog posts, videos, maybe tweets written 3 weeks, 3 months in advance. You can have a lot of this content written in advance. Amanda and I are going to explain how to do all of this, and we're going to show you examples. We're going to show you examples from Akamai Technologies. Amanda's going to show us a lot of those samples in just a few minutes. Deploy your tactics, choose your tools, monitor your activity. Again, we could talk about this all afternoon. We're not going to, because we're here to emphasize the human elements of social media. But I want to make sure that you're all aware you should have your eyes wide open and think about this before you get started. The bigger company you are, the more important this becomes. How do you stand out and be found on social media when, as Eric Qualman's video illustrated, how vast the landscape is? How do you just, whether you're a big brand, you're still just one channel, one account on Twitter, how do you stand out among the millions that are out there? And when I say millions, I mean, in this case, billions. Facebook, 1.4 billion. These are your top 7 or 8 social media channels and how large they are in size approximately right now. YouTube, 1 billion. LinkedIn, 347 million. Google Plus, 300 million. Instagram, Twitter, the same. Snapchat, watch out for Snapchat. It is gaining rapidly, 200 million users. And Pinterest and Vine. So all of these channels, and these are the big ones, these are the ones you should consider, not necessarily in that order. It depends where your customers are. Remember, you're going to do that research. You're going to find out where your customers are. You're going to determine your objectives. Do I want to share a lot of video? In that case, yeah, I'm going to be heavily involved on YouTube. It depends on that plan which of these channels you're going to use most. But whichever ones you use, there are all millions and millions and millions of others out there. And that kind of competition is intimidating. So the numbers are large and you, not so much. You're kind of lost. So how do you go? And we're going to look at Twitter specifically from being lost to found in this vast open sea of 300 million or so users. Look at the stats on Twitter alone. 300 million users, less than half, so it's 150 million, log on every day. Only 1/3 of those check Twitter multiple times a day. The average person who uses Twitter follows 200 people. And if you're like me, you follow about 3,500 people. And Amanda probably follows.
Yeah, junk.
Yeah.
Why do you follow me?
The average user is only on Twitter. Again, unlike Amanda and I, we're not average users. We're on about 6 hours or maybe 16 hours a day. But only 6 minutes a day. So again, think of where we're going here with this. 500 million tweets are sent every day. That's 6,000 a second. And the half-life, meaning after 24 minutes, any attention your tweet has received, retweets, favorites, any comments back, after 24 minutes, half of that activity you've seen. So really, let's just hypothetically say you got about half an hour to make a difference out there. And if you've seen nothing after half an hour with that one tweet, maybe it's time to send another tweet. Kind of partially kidding, but that's why we send a lot of tweets. And ideally, the more the better. Spaced out accordingly, and that's the source for those numbers. So the point is, again, how do you stand out? And we take it back to something simple, or maybe not so simple. And it's Dale Carnegie's book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. This book goes back to 1936. It's a classic. There are definitely a few people in this room, I'm sure, like me, who have read it. Probably and I'm seeing some, people shaking heads. It's a classic. It's basic. It just means be nice to each other. Be nice to others and think of how you network in person. That's what we're saying here. Amanda and I are basically saying, just like in real life, like today, you're putting on your networking best, I'm sure, manners. Be that way on social media. But again, think. We're talking, of course you're going to be that way as a person, but think if you're a brand. Think if you're a big corporate brand. Think of whoever's doing that social media for you as that big corporate brand. They have to be like what Dale Carnegie says they should be back in 1936. Nice, genuinely interested in other people, smile. Remember that saying somebody's name, those are magic words. That's music to their ears or something they really like to see. I once, this is many years ago when I first started using Twitter, people have Twitter handles, and sometimes it's not their name, it's a nickname or a random word. Could be Water12345, could be someone's Twitter handle. I called Water12345 by her real name, Rachel, and she said, "How do you know my name?" And I said, "It says your name next to your handle. I thought I'd call you by your name and not just your handle." And it surprised her, because actually on Twitter, not many people do say the person's actual name in addition to their handle. My point is, people like to hear their name. It gets their attention. Be a good listener, encourage others to talk about themselves, talk in terms of the other person's interests, and make that person feel important, and do it sincerely. People will call you out, and I heard this point mentioned in the earlier presentation as well. On social media, people definitely can tell if you're genuine or not, can tell if you're just trying to sell them something or not. Sure, we're all there for sales and leads and business opportunities, but that's where the rules are different. I said use those tried and true practices of direct marketing, methodologies, but the big difference is the human element. 8 qualities of a great social media communicator. Transparency, transparency, credibility, authenticity, be respectful, be ideally you want to be influential. So if you're all of those other qualities, you will have influence and command, wield some clout, be informative, engaging, and supportive. And one more story, and then we're going to turn it over to Amanda. I know I've talked way too much at the beginning here. We're going to go back and forth in just a minute, and Amanda's also going to take over for a few slides. One more story, the 3 A's. The 3 A's applies to any walk of life, if you will, any discipline. In the case of when I first heard this story about the 3 A's, it applied to a pediatrician friend of mine. We were watching our son's Little League baseball game about 5, 6, 7 years ago. And we were just talking, and I said, "How do you do your job? Must be hard caring for children, with the parents right there." And, just being a doctor, to me, seems very impressive and very intimidating. I couldn't do that kind of work. And he said, "Oh, it's the 3 A's, ability, affability, and availability." And I said, "What? What's the 3 A's?" So he walked me through the 3 A's and told me how it applied to his business, and I ended up turning it into a blog post and then a video, and occasionally I use it in presentations. But the 3 A's, we all have to have an ability. So if you're a company, you have to have a great product, a great service. If you're an individual, obviously you do something real well. That's a given. You've got to have that ability in order to succeed on social media, but in anything you do. Affability is the key. Affability is the personality. Affability is that friendliness where you win friends and influence people, as Dale Carnegie would say. So affability is what I want to stress. Whoever's doing your social media, and remember, you could be in charge of social media, but you don't necessarily have to be doing it yourself. Or maybe you're not that affable in person, but you could be a great affable personality in social media. So just remember, it's the genuine hat, because it should be sincere, it shouldn't be an act that you put on when you get out there in social media. And then the availability part, doing social media, I've already mentioned it, it can be virtual 24/7. It can be weekends, it can be nights. Amanda knows this. We occasionally trade emails on a Saturday morning. I'll be at the mall and I'll see something come up in my inbox, and Amanda and I will be talking before you know it. Because you have to be aware that your customers, they don't care that it's not 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. Okay? In fact, a lot of people want to do business when it's convenient to them. So it's weekends and nights. Amanda, I've talked way too long.
No worries. Following up on that, they also like to tweet about problems or anything else, usually 4:30 to 5 on Friday. Found that a very popular time. But I'm Amanda Fogarty. I run our social media program over at Humanize Technologies, which is a large internet company out in Kendall Square, Cambridge. A little background on us, about 30% of all internet traffic goes through us. In reality, talking marketer to marketer, it is very dry content. It's very highly technical content. Our audience is very specific. So how do I go about trying to make this social? how do I go and try to reach a different audience and try to make sure that we're reaching different people and kind of letting people know what we're actually doing. For example, how many of you guys live streamed the Super Bowl or last Winter Olympics? Anyone check it out on their iPad or anything else? Well, we help make that happen. So part of our social media strategy and digital marketing strategy is to get in front of people and let them know that we're actually doing these really cool things that have a real life effect on you guys, people who are using the technology, people who are now consuming media on their mobile devices. So I'm leading this off with, we're all social, every single one of us. How many of you guys are on any social media platform that Bob just put up? Right? We're all on there. It would be alive. I saw everyone say that you are all on LinkedIn during the opening keynote, right? No one raised their hand saying that they were not. So we are all bombarded with sales pitches and targeting and everything 6 ways to Sunday, right? We see those promoted posts, we see those promoted tweets. But the ones we engage with are the ones that speak to something inside of us. They're not that hard sales pitch. They're the ones that make us want to share something. That's an interesting tidbit that has a real effect on us. So going into this presentation, I just want you guys to all remember that we are social. And to keep in mind also that we can also be our best customer on social. What would you guys share? What would you guys like? What would you guys retweet? And use that as a gut check when you guys are compiling your digital strategy to see if it's interesting to you, it's most likely going to be interesting to someone else. If you don't find it interesting, you're not going to sell anything that way. So these are some examples of what we've started using social for. 2 of these photos are from Instagram from one of our conferences. And this middle one here, social media only started at Akamai in 2012. This was in 2013, where we decided to do a big social visualization at our yearly customer conference. This one was in DC. That's our CMO. He gave his closing keynote with a live stream of all of our social engagements that had happened during that conference. Auto-populating on there. We made sure we had our filtration processes in place, so nothing weird would get put on there. But that's an awesome thing to show, not only your CMOs and other customers and potential people who are going to be interested in your brand, but that you're actually going to interact with them and you're going to give them a platform and to show your customers that they do have a voice and that you respect their voice. So, going into that, this is a cartoon one of my friends shared with me when I first started out in marketing. I did not come from a marketing background. I came from working at a whole bunch of newspapers and online news organizations. And this has always struck me because one of the things about online marketing, social media in particular, is that you can hear the conversations happening about your brand. So take a moment to kind of think about how your brand and your company positions itself on social media. Now, Google and Twitter have partnered up. I Googled Overdrive, and I took a snapshot of it to show you. I Googled Overdrive on my phone, and the first 2 things that Google will show me are the last 2 recent tweets. So, think about what your brand is saying. What were the last 2 tweets that your company put out? Because chances are if someone's going to Google any information on their phone, they're going to see that. Is it something good? Is it something that's kind of a lackluster, pitchy thing? Take a moment, kind of think about that, because right now your social media platforms have so much SEO and search value to them that you can't ignore them. If someone's just looking for general information about your brand, chances are they're going to hit one of your social media platforms before they hit your website. Why? They want to see what people are commenting. They want to see what they can learn about your brand before they head into your .com place where they're going to get a cookie and they're now going to be effectively sold to. They want to do some research. So what does your brand say about you? How are you positioning yourself? And this right here, short little video. I have no affiliation with Simple.com, but this is really what humanizing your brand means. They created this ad that kind of makes banking something almost as dry as high internet technology, something really, really personal. So we're gonna get that going, and I hope you kind of get an idea, and we'll set the tone to kind of go back and forth.
I think that's the same link, but
Mom wants to know, when did you know?
Wow.
Hey Mom, we're home. Hey sweetie, I want to introduce you to a good friend of mine. This is Jeff.
Hi, Marla. It's so nice to finally meet you. Your dad has told me a lot about you.
So, I was in tears the first time I saw this ad, not gonna lie. And that was something so powerful. It is a bank out of Portland, Oregon, that is only online. And I learned so much about that company just from seeing that ad, that I was like, oh, I wonder how I can get, how do I get in? And that's the kind of humanizing that you want to be able to do to your brand. You have to play into the human aspect. You have to play into that emotional aspect, no matter what you're doing. This is a bank. Think about anything else, any other technology. Like Akamai, we want to make sure that you guys are realizing how we can change the world with the technologies that we're developing. Whatever you are trying to market, play to that little niche, play to those human heartstrings, because it really, really is very effective. So, that being said, go ahead into our 10 ways to humanize your brand.
Awesome, awesome. So what we're going to do now is rattle through 10 ways to humanize your social media brand. I'll introduce each of the 10 ways, and Amanda will show the illustrative examples, which are all Akamai technology examples. So we're going to go through the 10 different ways, and starting from the top, don't be a stranger. So the idea here is, even if you're a corporate logo on Twitter, anywhere on social media, as I was saying earlier, sure, as an individual, any one of us, it's easy, it's obvious who we are to the outside world on social media if it's our own pictures. But what do you do when you're a big brand and you're using a corporate logo? How do you come across personably on social media? Well,
So, for example, we only started using Instagram a year and a half ago now at this point. It's been a really great way to kind of put faces to our logo right now. Our logo is a little wave, says Akamai. Nothing really kind of saying high tech or a fun company to work for, or a place that you want to be seen, or someone who's innovating technology. So we use this as a way to kind of show off who we are. On the far side over there, that's our CEO, Tom Layton. He ran the NASDAQ bell, goes there often. We're a publicly traded company. So throw a picture on there, and this was right after it got posted. It was 37 likes. Right now it's at close to 50. It's a cute way to kind of put someone's face to the name. Again, we have our products op team supporting a charity that one of our employees started. And we like to do fun things outside. One of the cool things about being a tech company, lots of people say, is you guys do the bike rides, you do the runs, you do all these weird, quirky things. So we want to show that off and kind of show we do have a personality, that we're not just the wave with our name on it. That doesn't really say anything fun about us.
And a lot of people will say, but Instagram, that's not for me, or Vine, or Pinterest. We don't have that image. We're a business. We're a B2B brand. We're technology. Akamai is a perfect example of, it doesn't matter really what you do, you can humanize your brand on social media. You can use these other social media channels that you might not have thought were right for you. talk in the first person. This is a big one. A lot of companies still talk about themselves in the third person, meaning referring to their brand name, as opposed to I and we. In most cases, it would be the collective we when you're speaking on behalf of a brand. But it's very important. And most copywriters will get this, no matter what channel we're writing in for. Yeah, we want to make it very personal. Talk in the first person, even as a big corporate brand.
Yeah, so again, the examples, we have an employee kind of culture video. We talk about our employees. We talk about the overall family that we work with a lot. It's Small Business Week. This was a small campaign that we did because lots of people don't know that we're not just a big B2B company that only talks with large multi-billion-dollar companies, but we do also want to give those small businesses the opportunity to use some of our services for a much lower cost and make sure that we're able to kind of give back to the community that started us. Humanize started as a college project that slowly got funding. If you're from the Boston area, you probably saw that article, I think now 2 weeks ago, that we had originally lost the MIT Innovation Award. That was the scholarship. We got $10 and they spent it on a case of beer as a celebration. Now, this is what we've been able to do, and so we do want to give back. We say we're committed instead of Akamai is committed. Giving that we kind of goes back to our roots. It kind of tells those small business owners, yeah, we do want to support you. We are in this together, not we have a product, Akamai has a product to give to you. And today, you're addressing people straight on. You don't want to say, to our potential customers, we may have something you are interested in. Have that conversation with them and make it a little bit fun. Have some personality in there.
How can we help? Those
Exactly.
are 4 magic words. So this is obvious based on what we're talking about here. No jargon, no corporate speak, no million-dollar words. Keep it simple. No ubiquitousness or whatever the word is I was trying to say. That's too big. That's a mouthful. Keep it simple. That's the whole idea here. Speak in layman's terms, not yours. So you may have a lot of corporate buzzwords and jargon and what have you that you could use in your social media stream. Don't.
Yeah, so this is one way we do avoid the corporate speak, is that we put a lot of emphasis on videos. If you go and check out our YouTube channel, you'll see a lot of tutorials, you'll see walkthroughs, you'll see one-on-one interviews that are shorter with thought leaders, kind of giving you the basics. First one up there, talking about web performance and how you can build it into your budget. There's no fancy RWD for responsive web design or any other technical term in there. If you are looking for how to kind of pitch to your CEO or CTO or CMO about you need to upgrade your web performance, you can find this quick little doodle on it. We also kind of use that third-party aspect to really help get us out of that jargon. Jargon is something that's really embedded into the high-tech world. We're trying to break out of it, but it's not embedded in the journalistic world, because there you got to talk to the greatest common denominator. So we really rely and love having that third-party content to really launch off of. And it kind of reminds us, okay, here's the top of the funnel. Here's who we're really talking to here on social media.
Number 4 is address others by name, and I kind of already addressed this point. It's important if you're trying to get someone's attention out on social media to address them by their first name. Don't hesitate. It's a great way to show, hey, I am paying attention to you. I'm reading your profile, your byline, everything about you, and I really want to talk to you. It's as simple as, use their first name, just like when you're networking with people, you look down at a name tag, and even if you don't know the person, you act like you do, you act real friendly. That's what you want to do on social.
Yeah, so again, some examples here. We send out congratulations to our cycling team. We make sure that if we have a speaker or if we're sponsoring anyone speaking at a conference or attending a conference, we're going to tag them in it. We're going to make sure that we have a conversation back and forth with them. At RSA, the security conference out in San Francisco, we had Michael Gooding, who wrote Future Crime, kind of about the new age of internet security and all the creepy, fun, weird things that people can hack into now, and it's one of those dark holes that you don't want to go down, or else you're never going to climb out of it. But we took a photo, we tagged him in it, he replied back and forth, we had this conversation with him, and then we had conversations with his fans, who may have been at RSA, who may have not, but they were really excited that we were supporting him and having that conversation and telling them to, well, did they like about the book? What did they not like about the book? Were they interested in anything that we had going on at RSA or not? So having that person-to-person conversation there is very, very important.
Think about just like in real life. People, again, whether we want to admit it or not, we love to hear the sound of our own names. And we name drop in general. I mean, so do that on social media. The people you're talking about will love it. They like being mentioned. And it's a great way to get their attention. Real time, sharing content in real time. So I know I mentioned in my introduction, introductory remarks,